But first, let's of course start with what is happening in the United States of America, where Donald Trump's cabinet continues to expand. As his pick for Health Secretary takes oath, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was sworn in on Thursday, after being confirmed by the U.S. Senate's vote. Now, RFK Jr. barely made it through the Senate confirmation in a 52-48 vote. Not a single Democrat backed his nomination. The 71-year-old is considered one of Donald Trump's most controversial picks for his cabinet, coming from a legacy of a political name and also a long line of Democrats. RFK Jr. has faced severe criticism for what is being dubbed as his anti-vaccination stance. But shortly after he was sworn in, the new American Health Secretary slammed his critics for twisting his remarks on vaccinations. Listen in.
When people actually hear what I think about vaccines, which is common sense, which is vaccines should be tested, they should be safe, everybody should have informed consent, people are reacting because they hear things about me that aren't true.
In his first address after taking oath, the Health and the Human Services chief under Trump's administration also promised to overhaul the department. Now, RFK Jr. now oversees several agencies, including the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the Food and Drug Administration, the National Institute of Health, and also the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. This week, RFK Jr. in fact became the second top official to be confirmed by the Senate after Tulsi Gabbard got the green signal as the Director of National Intelligence in a very narrow vote. Now, another key official who's also undergoing her confirmation hearing is, of course, Linda McMahon, and she is expected to be the Education Secretary in the Trump cabinet. Now, the session on Thursday, of course, began with a lot of questioning. It will continue for a second day. The former World Wrestling Entertainment CEO was grilled on her intentions to dismantle the Department of Education as part of Trump's administration. Now, Linda McMahon has said that the Department of Education will only be reformed and not shut down entirely, as was earlier being said.
If confirmed as secretary, I will work with Congress to reorient the department toward helping educators, not controlling them.
Would the states and localities still receive the federal funding which they currently receive?
Yes.
Okay.
It is not the president's goal to defund the programs. It is only to have it operate more efficiently.
Now, questions over the future of the American Education Department and also its pivotal role in public education has been under the spotlight ever since Donald Trump said that he wants to shut down the department. Now, just days ago, the U.S. president had confirmed to the media that he would like to close the Federal Department of Education through an executive order. Now, critics are worried that dismantling the Department of Education will have a detrimental impact on funding, especially for students with disabilities. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening with Donald Trump's cabinet, we're joined in this broadcast by Ms. Jennifer Ewing, who is a spokesperson for the Republicans overseas UK. She's joining us live on this broadcast. Ms. Ewing, this is a very important moment for the people in the United States of America, and indeed, people are looking at the Trump administration. RFK Jr. has been confirmed, and he's in fact turned around and said that his ideas of vaccination were completely turned around. And he now says that he's not against the idea of vaccinations, even though in the past he's gone on record to say that he's not convinced that vaccinations save lives. How do we comprehend this contradiction?
Hi, thanks for having me. So, yeah, it's interesting. And I've spoken a lot to people in America about this. And a lot of it depends on which news outlet you watch. That how you perceive what Kennedy has said in the past. He's been very clear, however, he is not an anti-vaxxer. He's not against all vaccines. He's just questioning why a brand new innocent baby needs 72 vaccines, in the first few years of its life. So what he's doing, both from a food situation and a drug situation, is just asking questions and pointing out things like there's a lot of chemicals and poison poisons in the food we have in America that are, quite frankly, illegal in other countries. So all he's doing is saying, let's investigate this, figure out what works, what's hurting us, because we do have an obesity problem. So the food and drug industry in our country right now is not working.
Interesting. Now, the other department that's also under a lot of scrutiny at this moment is the Department of Education. Donald Trump in the past has said that he wants to dismantle it altogether. And the person that he's chosen is Linda McMahon. She's formerly been the CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. What are her credentials and how is she expected to change the Department of Education there?
Sure. You mean outside of wrestling credentials? She was part of the Connecticut, which is a state on the U.S. East Coast, part of the school board. So she is credentialed. What's interesting is she will be appointed to this department. And like she said, she doesn't want to completely dismantle it, but it does need reform, just like Health and Human Services. When it was formed in 1979, with all good intentions, I believe under the Carter administration, Jimmy Carter, the actual way in which people are learning, children are learning in the United States, has continued to decline. We are a very wealthy country for the most part. We spend a lot of money on public education at a federal level, and yet the test scores and the reading levels and the math levels of our students continues to get worse. So what they are suggesting, and I think where it will probably end up, is states have more control over how the education goes. So if California, for example, a quite liberal state, wants to have more of a liberal twist to the way they're teaching their children, then great, and the voters can decide.
Indeed, we'll have to see as to how things pan out. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Jennifer Ewing, for joining us and getting us that perspective. Thank you very much. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.